Hey guys, Mike here. So another nice green day today in the market, and you might notice a little trend here with a group of stocks over here that just keep going up, and then these group of stocks right here are kind of like, well, they're down for the year actually, but they're trying, some of them trying to wake up, but you can tell big money's over here playing their little game over here while these kind of falter out. And so we'll go into those stocks, also some other stocks that are exploding. Right now, you might have saw it big time. Some have earnings coming up this week, so we'll get into those as well. But we did actually get our gap down last night. Remember, I did a whole members video on this where all they're using with this tariff news, and I showed it to you yesterday, and there's more that came out after that video, that they move it down to grab liquidity, and right back up we go. That's been so far the scene. Now, eventually what's going to happen if this continues on and we continue in an actual trade war, it'll be the same thing that happened in 2018 most likely, where all of a sudden the tariff news will start driving it down because there'll be more and more tariffs getting put on and more retaliation from other countries, and those dips won't get bought anymore, and then down we go if that continues. So be very cognizant of that. But I'll show you this before we get to the charts, and it shows retail flow as a percentage of the aggregate market cap. So buy minus sales, and this is the S&P 500 stocks, the dark color, lighter color, NDX 100 stocks. You can see where money is going, and definitely buying up so far, especially on the NASDAQ 100 type stocks, the tech stocks, which you've probably seen. But speaking of last night, remember, this is the futures, right? So that you can see we dropped, and that don't like a big drop at all, but actually that is a 0.76% drop in 5 minutes. That was off the Chinese news, plus then President Trump came out afterwards, after I did the video, and said, yeah, he's going to put more tariffs on today, and then boom, V-shaped recovery, traded sideways the rest of the night, and then started going up around 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning. Now, obviously, we come down on a shorter term time frame, got that discount, got this bounce right here. Again, still got a big dark pool level above, still got a descending line, trend line coming down. We've rejected multiple times now. But when we look at this in reverse, one thing you might have noticed today is we're in a premium, right? So coming up from that low to this high up here, you can see we are in a premium, right? And so we're approaching that point in F79 fib again, up where that trend line and stuff. And so we're going to see, and that's why every time it so far has gotten to the premium around that 0.79 fib in the last couple of times, we have sold down. We'll just finally break that trend, and we finally break above the descending trend line and start heading to all-time highs because we're not far from it. And so we'll see if tomorrow is going to be, make a big difference or not. But we do have data coming out that will affect the yields, the bond market, and the market overall Wednesday, which we'll talk about, even though I know tomorrow's Tuesday. Then we go to the Qs. You can see this one too. I mean, obviously it's trading up in the premium now. You can see it rejecting that 0.79 fib as of the month of February here. So again, this is when sometimes the market starts to struggle. This is why. And then you look at QQW, and like I said, this will probably hit first because this is only 0.5% away from all-time highs. So you've probably seen this in your portfolio where stocks that weren't performing well are performing well, even though the Mag 7, Mag 8 that is, are really red on the year, which we'll talk about. Most of them are. And so again, when we go back here, and then up top there, 2 out of the 3 times when it was setting those all-time highs, the QQW did it first. And reason why, because the Mag 7, 8, whatever you want to call it, was lagging. And then on that top one right there, that's when Nvidia and all them started kicking in, and Tesla started going crazy and all that fun stuff. And so you can see when we pull them up and overlap each other, how QQW was, because the breadth was better, setting all-time highs before the QQQ did. And then here comes the Mag 7 just going absolutely crazy, overtakes it. And so it actually did it first. And it looks like maybe that's what we're repeating here, right? Where QQW, if we continue to move up, we'll set the all-time high first. And then if the Mag 7 get going, like Nvidia is trying to get going now, maybe Apple gets going, maybe Microsoft gets going, then you see it. But what's no surprise to me is when you look at this, where the money's going is in Chinese stocks right now. This is where your David Teppers and others are putting this money, because year to date, they're up a lot, right? And then we'll go over the Mag 8, and you can see that's totally not the case. Obviously, Bob leading the way, and I'll look at that chart in a little more detail. But these are up handsomely. And then you go over to like just the Mag. This is the Mag 8 right here. And just for the year alone, it's sitting there like up 4% total when you add all 8 together right now. Because like Meta's been doing good. And then, but you look at Tesla and Nvidia and Microsoft and stuff, and not good. And we'll get into those charts in just a minute. But you look at Bob, it's obviously leading the way right here. Continues to move up towards that 115, 120 area. It's got a gap right there where it is now from 110 to 115. And so if this does start to come down and everything, so again, you'll see, and the funny about these stocks though is what's not affecting it is the tariff stuff, right? So when China's coming out saying, okay, we're putting tariffs on you guys, and putting tariffs on this, tariff on that, it's not affecting their stocks at all. And you can see the volume. When I say, this is the bigger money coming in, you see this volume, you got the same kind of thing happened the last time they ran it up. Will this one be sustainable? That's what you got to find out. But this is what Jim Carson was talking about when he said, he puts a 40% chance on, some people put 0, that Chinese stocks are going to move. And so we'll see again if this is going to be the case, because we've seen these moves before in the past and they have failed. Okay. But right now that is the case. And the question is, if our Mag 7-8 actually get going again, will it affect Chinese stocks? Will they start to sell back down or consolidate? If this one does come back down anywhere from 96 to like 103, somewhere in that area, really like 100, will be good support for BABA if it does come back down. I believe they're poor earnings in a couple weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So keep an eye on that one. But I don't think it's any coincidence that our big ones are struggling and Chinese stocks are, actually doing really well right now. Now, IWM, this is exactly what we talked about, held that trend line right there. Here we are again, between 227, 230. So we're just ranging, and so just play the range as long as it gives you a chance to play the range. And we'll see if it's going to stay in there. Again, a lot of the data is going to affect it more than anything else this week. And when we're talking about, its friend, the 10-year, of course, this is what will be affected by the data. Right, and so this one has been range bound in the last 4 trading sessions between 4.4, 4.5, just bouncing up and down right there. Again, if it goes sideways, IWM can do just fine. It just can't start mooning up. That's really the case. If it obviously breaks down with that head and shoulders, then IWM, risk on assets, stuff like that, will do really well. Tesla is almost like bipolar here, right? This one's still in this falling wedge right here at the bottom of the pattern, actually. But again, there's a small gap right there below where it is right now, right around like 346, 348. Big one on this is going to be the moving averages. Again, hundreds right there. And I always say each stock is different with how it reacts and everything with its moving averages. When Tesla comes down, you can see in the past, sometimes it breaks the 50, goes down. Sometimes it goes right below the 100 before it starts to pick up and stuff. And so I'm going to put these lines in place right where the 100 is. But when we go back and just kind of look in the past, like when it's lost its 50 before, a lot of times it will come down the majority of the time. Actually, it'll come down to that 100 moving average and either bounce or get right below it before it bounces. And so that's just something to keep an eye on when you pull it up on your chart and mark that out and see if that's going to be the case or not. Again, I don't see it going straight down to that. But this comes back to what I had been saying when it comes to Tesla and Nvidia, right? They're doing the opposite right now. And so what's Nvidia doing? It's coming up into its 50 and 100 right there and getting rejected. And so this is something we're talking about. We'll pull them up together, but we'll pull the 200 because we're above the 200 now. So it's kind of doing the opposite. It's not breaking down through the moving averages, kind of come back up through their moving averages. And so it's moving up, Tesla's moving down. And again, with this one, if it breaks above that, obviously we're going to around 142 is going to be the next stop. If you pull up extended trading hours, you can see that same level it stopped at in extended trading hours was a certain level. And then when you gap above that, that's when there's actually a gap on the extended trading hours as well. So again, if it breaks 50 and 100, again, if it breaks that 50 and 100, no doubt in my mind, it's going to 142 for sure. But, when we look at this, we're going to pull a trend line on this. You can see that so far it's holding this trend line. We'll see if we come back down and get a bounce. Needs to hold 130 for sure. That really, I think, is key right there. To keep this momentum going, that is. But when you pull up Tesla and NVIDIA, you can see what I'm talking about. It's amazing to see it, but when one's going, the other's just not. Tesla is sitting down here, down 15% in 10 days. NVIDIA is up around 20% in 8 days. So it's just, for some reason, there's no coexistence right now going on with this. And it's not just NVIDIA. Avgo's moving up, Taiwan Semiconductors, MU. And so again, semiconductors are starting to catch a bid at this point in time. I think it has to do with a lot of the large caps selling the earnings that they were spending more on CapEx. Okay. Now with NVIDIA, we're going to draw this trend line, be a descending trend line, where it'll probably meet if it does fill that gap and stuff. We'll see if it gets rejected once again. Obviously, we break through that. Then you're cooking with Crisco, no doubt about that. Now, looking at Palantir. This is one of those stocks you just wonder, hey, is gravity ever going to take effect, right? So we hadn't hit that trend line yet. Hit the next fib level, of course. If it does happen to come down, maybe we want to start to consolidate. Look for this daily fair value gap right there to be liquidity to come down in. And again, we talked about this before, and it happens. We'll talk about it again because, it's a responsible thing to do. The question is, when is the rubber band effect going to take place, right? Again, it's getting super stretched out from its moving averages, 50% above the 50 moving average. We started talking about, I think down here somewhere, it was like 51%. And then it's like 50% again. So right around that level, and we get pullbacks normally when that starts to happen. But when you look at how far it's above its 200 moving average, I mean, it's almost a joke, right? It's like 163% above its 200 moving average. Never been this far stretched out. Okay, so eventually it's going to have to consolidate at some point in time and let these moving averages start to move up. We talked about this last time. People got all upset. That's what happened. And then guess what? They proceeded to move. Actually came on down and bounced off its 50, right? So eventually that's going to happen. Okay, so just keep that in mind on Palantir. SMCI mooning like 18%. Got earnings tomorrow. Their auditor came out and said they probably wouldn't have to restate the financials. But again, this one has an enormous expected move. After this big move, by the way, it's sitting there expecting a 20% move on earnings. So they're putting the Discord right here. So that is an enormous move. It's the biggest one of the week, if I'm not mistaken. So 20% plus or minus right there. If we look at the chart, again, so if you're playing a straight call, straight puts, it has to at least beat that because the IB is like 268% on the options right now. That puts you around 52. I think 88% of the time, I believe it beats the expected move. If I'm not mistaken, I think I read that somewhere. So I mean, you can be looking at 60, honestly, within a couple of days if it beats it, or to the downside around 34 right there. So probably coming down that trend line around 30. So keep that in mind when it comes to SMCI. HIMS is another one that's just absolutely taking off like a bad idea. You know what? Coming into the next fill level. This one at least somewhat is consolidating right here in a range. And so again, they got earnings coming up over the next couple of weeks. It's not too far, but it is. I mean, it's getting up there 100% above the 200. But this one moves like this, right? It gets these crazy moves up. Then it'll consolidate, start coming down some, start touching this moving averages, and then moving up again. I mean, you can see it several times right here. And we'll see this one again. These are being priced into perfection. If they're up at these levels in the earnings, then obviously, you know, they're going to have to hang the moon. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this one's 110% above its 200-day moving average. So, again, you know, it's the most it's ever been at this point in time. So we'll see if rubber band effect starts taking place. We are very close to all-time highs. We'll see these going to just continue to push and push and push. Again, a lot of it, I mean, the market's so freaking news sensitive right now. You just don't know. But anyway, looking at Lemonade, we talked about this one. It's still moving up right now. Got a breakout. They got the retest heading up into what will be resistance at this point in time. This is another one that has earnings coming out in a couple of weeks. We'll see. And I think it will continue to move up. Obviously, I can't predict earnings for this one or not. But, you know, Tuesday, February 25th. So it's got a couple weeks before it does it. Again, if it does come back down, you really just want to hold anywhere from 31 to 34 right there if we happen to come back down. But you can see earnings, and last time is what got this thing absolutely just taking off. Because before that, it was like dumping and dumping and dumping on earnings. And so we'll draw a trend line from here. If it does come down, we'll see if we get a bounce from that right there as well. But I'm expecting this one to continue to move up as of now. And if they just don't do good on earnings, then obviously it'll dump just like it did in the past on many other earnings. So we'll see if this is going to continue to go or not. Keep an eye on it. Speaking of earnings, we got Shopify, High Flyer in the morning, Coca-Cola, Humana, BP. And then in the afternoon, there's Super Micro. Upstart's going to be another one. People are expecting a big move on. DoorDash and Lyft, because, I mean, Uber's been going absolutely insane so far. See if Lyft can try to keep up. And then, of course, tomorrow you don't have anything going on. It's Wednesday. This is the data that's absolutely going to shift the 10-year bond and markets, and they're going to start moving, okay, off CPI data and stuff. So that's the one you got to look out for. So, again, tomorrow's another day just like today. It was really no kind of data to derail it as far as, you know, economic data. So we'll see if that continues or not. So, anyway, please hit the like and subscribe button if you got anything out of it. Think about signing up for membership and less than McDonald's combo. It's everything you get with it. And I'll see you guys for another fun one. Have a good one.